Hi, this is Tim, and welcome to the second part or second video of our look at three elements of design that we are looking to put into our gameful learning uh, situations and experiences. So the first one we talked about was meaning, and the next one we're going to talk about here in this video is mastery. And again, all this comes from Sebastian Dieterding, and most of it was from a Google talk that he did in 2011. And you can find all this here at his Coding Conduct webpage and the Meaningful Play presentation that he did. You can see the link to his 50-minute talk, as well as he has shared all of his slides. Now, the talk that we're going to, excuse me, the topic we're going to talk about today is mastery. And mastery is that experience of being competent at something, that experience of achieving something, of having done something. And how can we make it feel like an experience and an achievement for your students? Well, one of the things I want to model for you today and show you is how I try to implement that into MatterQuest, one of the games that I created with my students at the elementary level. So here in MatterQuest, we're looking at level 1 right here. Now this is a basic lab for MatterQuest. The students have a list of materials to gather or tasks to complete, and then when they've finished it, they can try and gather their experience points and move on to the next level. But the critical thing about this is that in order to advance, they have to master the learning concept or the learning content from each level. So let's take a look at this here. In this lab, you need to, this is the first one, level 1, which is actually ironically called MatterQuest. There's other quests called Phase Change Quest, Liquids Quest, Solids Quest, Gases Quest. There's 12 different quests that the students take. This one here is the introductory one. You know, getting their wiki set up, getting their tables and things made, make sure they're tagging and labeling things correctly. So here they needed to create a data table with 7 columns and 8 rows on their wiki page. They need to work with their table group to form a guild. So we were just forming groups just based on whoever they're sitting next to at the time in class. They need to get all of these items, which we had in our lab equipment, and then make observations on all of them. And when they were finished with that, they then needed to do a read and reply section, so we had some reading for them to do and some questions for them to answer. They needed to post those questions and the answers on their wiki page, and then they had to do a summary of their learning. So let's take a look here at one of the students. This is the Blue Jays group, and this is what they created. So they did their table. They've done it pretty well. They've got their observations in. They've tried to play with some of the colors here on the sides, you know, calling purple purple. They've identified whether they're gases, liquids, or solids. They've answered the questions here, and they've also posted their summary. Now this group was great with their summary because they actually did a podcast. And I think I probably introduced this to you at another video. But once they finished this, they showed it to me. And in order to get the password to move on to the next level, they had to demonstrate mastery of it. So I'm looking for mastery of the concept, not just written on their page, but I'll do oral interviews with them too, to see that they can restate, that they actually know of what they're talking about, and that they can just copy-paste their work off of one another. I'll look for, this is a science class, but again, I want proper spelling and punctuation. I want complete sentences. I want basically, type of a non-fiction informational text type feel to what it is that they're creating and crafting. So if they have to master that before they can move on. Now, if I were to do this in a traditional way, if we just had a workbook, if we just had a journal for them to complete, I don't think they would be as interested in going back and revising. I think that making this a game helps with that. I think that aside from the game, that using the technology, that's very engaging, using the wiki, using the netbooks. But both of those together go along to kind of give them maybe like a greater sense of risk-taking, especially the gamefulness of this. And because of that, there's way less frustration with failure. So if it was just a journal and I did hand the journal back to them, a lot of times it's frustrating, in math when we use the worksheets and if they do their homework and they have to, take another look at it or revise it with me, and that can be frustrating for students and they might feel like a failure for it. Students never felt like failures when it was a game that they were playing. So that aspect of mastery and kind of that mastery goal theory as well, I think is a really, really strong, meaningful component of this design and this aspect of gameful learning. And I think that it was probably one of the stronger features that MatterQuest has. Now, MatterQuest wasn't the only gameful experience that I've worked on that has that. The other one would be Intergalactic Jury. And what we had in Intergalactic Jury, again, going back to the last video, is the students made these presentations. And it's kind of like public speaking with a twist, or a debate with a twist. They make their argument, they listen to a group, kind of pick holes in their argument, and then they take questions from the class too, and the questions from the class are very, very revealing. The students in class ask some tough questions because, one, they're looking for a good thing to vote on, but they also don't want to waste a vote and will maybe call out parts of the presentation that weren't very clear or very meaningful, or incorrect, factually incorrect. So here in this case, because there is a final word, students, as they're presenting and taking questions and having listened to the rebuttal group against them, are taking pretty vigorous notes so that when they do their final word, they have a chance to address all of those things and master their content and master their presentation in order to sway jurors to vote for their proposal. That's kind of how I'm implementing mastery of concepts, of learning objectives into our gameful classroom activities. So this video, I'm happy to say I've met my objective here of crafting a much shorter video than the last one you just watched. So come back for part 3, the epic conclusion to this trilogy on autonomy. We'll see you in a minute.